This video is about how they used to use our babies for alligator bait during the Jim Crow slavery era. But karma always has his way of finding us back to the persons who put it out there, right? Because we all know what's happening, taking place now down there in Florida. Alligators attacking different people. I asked the question, is that our ancestors, the babies that was used as alligator bait, coming back around with karma? Let's get into this video, ladies and gentlemen, how they used our babies as alligator bait. And look what's happening now down there in Florida. A lot of people being attacked by alligators. Let's go.
All these things I've been collecting. All these. And I said, what do you mean babies? He says, well, let me tell you. He said the slave babies, the slaves who had babies, they would steal the babies during the course of the day, sometimes when the mothers weren't washing. I said, what do you mean babies? I said, you mean babies like 5 or 6 years old? He says, no. These babies, some would be infants, some would be a year old. He said some would be toddlers. He said they would grab these children and take them down to the swamp and leave them in pens like little chicken coops. They would go down there at night, take these babies and tie them up because they hunted the big bull alligators. These big bull alligators were not raised on farms. They were in the wild. These alligators would weigh 600, 700, 800 pounds. Those are the ones they wanted. They would skin them, make the wallets, get the meat, do different things with them. He said, but what they were doing was tie them up, put a rope around their neck and around their torso, around here, and tie it tight. He said, I said, well, what would the babies be doing? He said, well, my grandfather said they'd be screaming. He said, what would you do? He said, just let them scream. He said, what they would do, he would help them to chum the water. He said, when they would throw the babies in, tied to this rope, he said, in a matter of minutes, he said, the alligators were on them. He said the alligators would clamp his jaws on that child. As a matter of fact, once he clamped on him, he was really swallowed. You couldn't see anything but the rope. And we would pull the alligator in and tie his nose and hit him in the head with an axe, a pickaxe. He said we would then drag him to the shore. We'd drag him to the shore and leave him lay, and we would do it again, maybe 2 or 3 times a night. I said, so what do you mean? He said, well, yeah, they were taking these babies and killing them for alligator bait. I said, so all these things I've been collecting, all these things I've been collecting are really, really something that I can really talk about and say they are the truth by what you say. He said, I'm telling you, he said, nobody wants to talk about it. He said, I'm only telling you because you're here. I may never hear from you again. He said, but these things actually depict the acts that they did to slave babies back in the bayou country and down the south. They did this. They hunted alligators with these babies. That's why they call alligator bait.
The word nigger was created during slavery by oppressors of black people. The word was used to demean blacks by inferring that they were lazy, good-for-nothing, thieving individuals. They actually, even many years later during the Jim Crow era, created items using the N-word. Here you have niggerhead shrimp. Later on, they became a little bit more defined and called a Negro head shrimp. They also have here a can called nigger hair tobacco, which was just chewing tobacco or smoking tobacco. Today, many blacks use nigger as a term of endearment. Disrespect of self invites the same from others, especially when those being disrespected are willing to tolerate it. Know your history, lest we forget.
They have to track me down and produce ain't no nigga form, which was first hit. Nigga in the street, nigga, we ain't gonna focus on how another nigga roll.
Here are some other items from the Jim Crow era. Here are a pair, just a box of nails, featuring a black man with his mouth gaped wide open. And these infamous twins, the Gold Dust twins, they sold detergents similar to a very popular detergent we would have today, showing these 2 little black babies who would come in and just twin babies that would just clean your house sparkling clean. Here we have Gold Dust powder. You also have toys that were created for young white children. This is a dancing minstrel. While he's dancing, and it looks like a lot of fun, notice how his face looks. He's made to look like a devil. Children learned early on to loathe and disrespect blacks.
They would have raffles. They would sell raffles. And during selling those raffles, they would watch Negroes be lynched and burnt alive. And they would auction off the body parts of the Negroes. They would fight over the penis, the ear, the hands. Just the cruelness that went on in the past. Is that love for you or hate? Burnt the man alive. He was alive when they burnt him, y'all. They hung him and then they burnt him alive. Negroes out there killing each other. It's time to wake up.
I think it's important that we recognize the abolitionists that played such an important role in freeing slaves. Yes, it was white people that put black people into slavery, but it was also white people that got them out of slavery. We did not do it alone, and we could not have done it without the caring and compassionate whites who realized from the very beginning that slavery was wrong. And they realized that Africans were human beings that deserved to be treated as such. And as a consequence, many of them lost their lives, they lost their properties, they lost their fortunes, trying to do things that would free the slaves. One of the things I think is real important to also recognize is that many of the women whose husbands were slave owners talked to their husbands and made them realize that what they were doing was wrong. They would wear them down by telling them that they really wanted to make sure that these people were being taken care of properly, particularly the children. And many of them started selling off their slaves or freeing their slaves. The erosion of the black family is one of the vestiges of slavery that are still with us today. We in the black community need to bring our families back together. We women need to understand that a child deserves to have both a mother and a father. Women, allow and accept your man back into the home. And men, be worthy of being accepted back in the home. So, we've shared a lot of information with you, and you've seen a lot of different things, but they're just a small portion of what we have to offer you.
And we're here today as the curators of the Black Holocaust Museum to let you know that we want you to take heart in the things we've shown you, to understand that violence comes from violence. There are people back in the day who gave their lives, risked their lives, white and black, to see to it that you could go to school and do the things that you have to do. You must, in turn, be the best that you can be.
The information that we've shared with you can prevent you from becoming today's slave or today's slave master. I'm Gwen Ragsdale.
And I'm J. Justin Ragsdale.
We hope that you come and visit us at Lest We Forget, the Black Holocaust Museum of African American Slavery.
And we
And when their babies are attacked by alligators, it's a whole different message. But we just seen the video how they used our babies as alligator bait. And no one was reparated behind that shit, man. Deep, right? Now let's get into these videos here of them being attacked by alligators and what's the grief when they're attacked by alligators. Let's go.
A child is never an easy story to tell. A family on a Disney World vacation losing their toddler in a tragic alligator attack. The outpouring of grief, the resort's response. ABC's Gio Benitez has the latest.
We recovered the remains of the 2-year-old from the water.
The 16-hour-long desperate search for the 2-year-old boy attacked by an alligator at Disney World has come to a heartbreaking close.
That was a tough message to deliver to them, to let them know that at this point, their child is dead.
That little boy has now been identified as Lane Graves.
We are terribly heartbroken at this outcome.
It was just after 9 p.m. at the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa.
I most definitely was heartbroken when I learned that they used African babies as alligator bait. I was heartbroken. To this day, I'm still heartbroken about it.
Across from Disney's Magic Kingdom, the Graves family of 4 from Nebraska, 3 days into their vacation, enjoying the sandy beach. Lane standing in ankle-deep water when the 5 to 7 foot alligator emerged and attacked him. His father, Matt, struggled to pry the boy from the gator's grip.
He did actually wrestle with the gator to try to recover his son.
Disney World today closed all beaches on the property. 5 alligators were removed from the lagoon during the search for that boy.
We're going to continue to go out and look for alligators and make sure we've done everything we can and all the due diligence to make sure we've taken that alligator out.
But at today's press conference, many questioning whether this attack should have ever taken place at all. There was a sign posted saying no swimming, but there was no warning there might be alligators in the water.
Everyone here at the Walt Disney World Resort is devastated by this tragic accident.
This is by no means the first time alligators have been spotted at Disney World.
Devastated by a tragic accident, but yet they was using our babies for alligator bait. God damn it. No one was reparated behind that shit. Where the reparations behind this one, ladies and gentlemen? God damn. Burnt black people alive, hung them alive, sold raffle tickets to watch a black man get lynched. Come on, man. I believe in karma. It's coming back tenfold.
Just 2 weeks ago, this video captured the moment 2 flower girls spotted an alligator outside of the Disney Wedding Pavilion. The theme park was built on top of swampland that had been drained. The resort complex itself is almost 25,000 acres, and Disney guaranteed a quarter of its land would always be a nature preserve when it first purchased it. Disney says alligators are closely monitored by a full-time staff and removed from the park if they become too big or too bold.
They can just call a trapper, and even some of their own staff are allowed to take out alligators when they see one that is a problem.
In recent years, as the Orange State experiences tremendous population growth, gators have begun turning up everywhere, on doorsteps, in pools, even shopping centers. 37-year-old Rachel Lillian Daniel was swimming in shoulder-deep water at a popular Central Florida beach when a gator suddenly clamped down on her arm.
It rolled me around, and at that point I realized, okay, you're not getting out of this, and I needed to call for help.
Fortunately, 2 nearby kayakers heard her cry, beating back the gator with a paddle. The gator took her arm and part of this bathing suit, but spared her life. Doug Brown from the Orlando area felt lucky to be alive after an 8-foot gator jumped out of a canal and tried to pull him into the water, his mother watching on in horror.
I was thinking, oh my God, it's got my son.
Summoning all his courage, the 45-year-old managed to pull his hand out of the gator's grip.
I had to get behind it quickly, or I was going for a swim.
The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says there are 7 unprovoked gator bites every year requiring medical attention. But overall, the odds of getting attacked is only about 1 in 2.5 million. But
only if you're using black babies for alligator bait. The numbers change.
Find the power of these massive prehistoric animals alluring. Some even hunt for them. The Stokes family in Alabama captured a true behemoth, 15 feet even, 1,011.5 pounds. And next door in Mississippi, meet Beth Trammell and her family of unusual gator hunters. Her son Parker, husband Rob, and brother-in-law Sean. They caught this 723-pounder, and just an hour later, Justin Bachman and his team wrangled this one 4 pounds heavier. Biologist Ricky Flint is a hunt coordinator.
Is it safe? It is safe. It is safe. We've only had 2 accidents reported. Both of those were
fairly minor. We had one person that actually got bit on the hand.
He took us right to a female gator's coveted spot, her nest. He says they are so big because for years nobody was allowed to hunt them. So the gators kept growing in size and population, so much so they've become a dangerous nuisance.
For many people here, alligators have become a problem on their property.
Oh, absolutely. Goldfish ponds, swimming pools, under the deck of a house, in the highways, in the parking lots of downtown Jackson.
Gators get everywhere. They get everywhere.
About 10 miles outside of Disney, Tim Williams of Gatorland says there isn't much that can contain an alligator.
So is there any way to really prevent that?
Not really. They can climb chain link fences, they dig holes, they get in culvert pipes and drainage ditches.
And when you're looking at a place like Disney, you just wouldn't expect an alligator to be in there.
No, you wouldn't. You think it probably shouldn't happen, but it's a body of water. It's in Florida. It could happen.
He says last night's attack was the result of a perfect storm.
Alligators are stealthy animals. If it was nighttime, that's when they like to hunt. They hear splashing in the water, a small object, and easy target.
Gators are especially dangerous predators, indiscriminate in what they eat and very powerful.
This time of year, they're getting more active, more movement, and so they're out hunting, looking for their territory, protecting their territory.
The father ran in there trying to save his little boy, but really, this alligator is just very, very strong.
Strong, extremely powerful. But possibly if the animal had gotten scared when the father went after it may have released the child and swam off. But you do anything and everything you can to try.
Disney's chairman and CEO Bob Iger saying, quote, "As a parent and a grandparent, my heart goes out to the Graves family during this time of devastating loss. My thoughts and prayers are with them, and I know everyone at Disney joins me in offering our deepest sympathies."
And what was the outrage when they was using our babies for alligator bait? Why y'all ain't had the same energy? Why the peoples ain't come together and had the same energy towards our babies? A human life. That's the question I'm asking. So I asked the question again. Is karma coming back tenfold?
While most Floridians know that any body of water in Florida may contain alligators, tourists visiting from around the country often don't.
They have to expect that the vast majority of people who are there aren't going to be from Florida and aren't necessarily going to know about the possible risks.
A point ABC News legal analyst Dan Abrams says is likely to be critical.
These cases are very fact-specific, but there's no question when a child is snatched by a gator on Disney property on a man-made lagoon that there's potential civil liability.
Tonight, that family delivering a message through the police.
They do appreciate all of the prayers that have gone forward to allow those of us to recover their son so that they can move forward at this time with a proper burial.
For Nightline, I'm Gio Benitez in Orlando.
Details emerging about a woman killed by an alligator while swimming in a river in Florida, her friends nearby, and then the deadly crocodile attack at a popular tourist spot. Witnesses say the victim was then pulled right into the ocean. Here's Victor Akendo.
Tonight, horror at a river north of Orlando, Florida.
Somebody got bit by a gator.
A woman swimming with friends attacked by a large alligator, her boyfriend desperately trying to pry her from its mouth. Officials say the 31-year-old woman from Orlando was swimming in about 3 feet of water on Sunday.
She was bitten on both of her arms.
The woman died on the way to the hospital. It's the third alligator attack in Central Florida in the last week. A child fishing at a resort was bitten on his hand, and a snorkeler was mauled at a state park. And in Mexico, authorities say this massive crocodile dragged 28-year-old Irving Mauricio into the sea near the Marriott Puerto Vallarta resort on Friday.
You could see the crocodile around his thigh, and when he would turn, you could see how massive the crocodile was.
Authorities capturing the crocodile. The man was later found dead. In a statement tonight, Marriott saying in part, "We have appropriate signage as well as night patrolling and red flags to indicate caution in the area," adding, "We extend our thoughts to the individual and their loved ones during this difficult time." David, back here in Florida, officials say they've caught 2 alligators in the area where that woman was attacked. Alligator attacks are rare, but there is always a risk in any body of water in Florida. David?
Victor. Alligator attack in Largo. The daughter of the 41-year-old victim is speaking out. This tragic incident happened Friday evening on 134th Avenue North. That's near McKay Creek, where officials found parts of a body in an alligator's mouth. Fox 13 Jennifer Veglas is here tonight. Jennifer, you spoke with the daughter. What do we know about the victim?
Yeah, so we know that 23-year-old Brianna Doris now has to plan a funeral for her 41-year-old mother, Sabrina Peckham. Doris tells me her mom was living in a homeless camp in a wooded area nearby, but never expected to hear from Largo police on Friday that her mom died from an alligator attack.
Every second of every day, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, she's gonna walk through the door. Like, this is all a nightmare, but it's not.
Tonight, Brianna Doris is at a loss for words, still processing how her mom, Sabrina Peckham, was killed just a few days ago here by a 14-foot alligator.
Knowing that's how she went, it wasn't painless, it wasn't fast, it wasn't easy, she struggled.
Doris says Peckham was living in the woods nearby, but every morning and every evening, her mom would stop by to see her grandkids. When she didn't show up Thursday evening and Friday morning, Doris knew something wasn't right. Hours later, FWC and Largo PD received multiple calls from people spotting the alligator with a human body part in its mouth. Our Skyfox cameras capturing the scene at the creek, where tonight a makeshift memorial with flowers and balloons are posted. Doris says despite Peckham's criminal history of trespassing and drug possession, she wants people to know how big her mother's heart was.
Selfless, 100% selfless. She was homeless herself, but it didn't matter. She'd give you the last piece of food on her plate. She would give you the shirt off of her back if she needed to.
31-year-old hiker viciously mauled by an alligator while swimming in a Florida state forest on a gorgeous sunny afternoon, as her boyfriend desperately tried to wrench her from the gator's jaws, urging paramedics to rush to the scene to save his lover. Who was Brittany Clark, the hiker who was fatally dismembered by a giant 13-foot gator in the Econlocache River? Here's what you need to know. A relaxing hike turned tragic on June 28th after a Florida woman was fatally attacked by a massive 13-foot alligator in a devastating surprise attack. The victim, 31-year-old Brittany Clark, was reportedly swimming with her boyfriend and best friend in the Econlocache River at Little Big Econ State Forest, nearly 30 miles inland, when the monstrous gator suddenly lunged from the water and locked its toothy maw on her, ripping her arm completely off. Officials said Clark, her boyfriend and best friend, had stopped to swim during their relaxing hike, and that Clark was standing in just 3 feet of murky water when the alligator snapped onto her. Clark's best friend on the trip, Jaden Hernandez, said the trio even joked about the, quote, air bubbles in the water minutes before the beast attacked. As the alligator pounced on Clark, her boyfriend, Chance Allison, desperately tried to fight off the beast. Allison heroically freed her arm, but the gator instantly clamped onto her other arm. Eventually, the alligator released her, and they were able to bring Clark to shore. Harrowing audio from the frantic 911 call obtained by the Post revealed details of the horror attack, with the woman describing Clark's injuries as, quote, horrible.
Okay, how bad is the bite? Horrible. Her arm is okay. Almost the thickness. Okay. Both her arms. Both her arms. Both her arms are off. Like basically. No, I'm on that one. One arm's completely off. The other one's like attached barely. Please. Please.
Officials confirmed that Clark died from her injuries while on the way to the hospital. Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission spokesperson Chad Weber said an investigation found no signs that anyone acted maliciously toward the alligator in a way that would have provoked the beast.
Right now, in this part of our investigation, it doesn't seem like they were doing anything that was malicious to an alligator. It could be any number of things. You know, with low water levels that we have, we are coming into the end of mating season. Alligators become very territorial, so it's any number of things. It's really hard to speculate and pinpoint what the exact reason was.
Officials said that following the attack, they captured and killed 2 gators, a 13-foot gator near where Clark was badly bitten, and a 12.5-foot gator a half a mile away. Samples from the beasts have been sent to a lab to determine if one of them is responsible for the vicious attack. Hernandez, who can be heard pleading with first responders on the devastating 911 call, paid tribute to her friend in an emotional.
Why all of a sudden y'all care about alligator attacks when y'all ain't give a damn when our babies was used for alligator bait? And all of a sudden we care about alligator attacks? Really? Stop it. Coming back tenfolds. The baby ancestors coming back tenfolds, claiming what's theirs.
Facebook post. We called for help and it felt like eternity talking to the dispatcher, but it was only 12 minutes. 12 whole long minutes of my best friend holding it together, being the strongest person in the world, she wrote. Anybody else would not have even made it out of that fucking water. She was so strong, and I always looked up to her and will forever. I just want my best friend, man. In an exclusive interview with The Post, Clark's grieving father, Robert, called for wildlife authorities in Florida to do more to control alligator populations and alert people to the danger. Paying tribute to his daughter, the middle child of 3 siblings who grew up as a military brat between Florida and California, Robert said his daughter was, quote, wonderful, but was always thriving to do better. A GoFundMe appeal set up by Brittany's aunt to help with the cost of the funeral has so far raised more than $6,500.
Oh my God!
An 85-year-old woman was killed by an alligator. Now the family is suing the retirement community she lived in.
This was a tragedy. That was 100% preventable.
Goddamn tragedy when y'all was using black babies for alligator bait. God damn it.
Fort Pierce, Florida, when the gator attacked. Her ordeal was captured on a wildlife camera.
An alligator has a woman. How big is it? It's a huge gator.
15-footer.
I don't have anything to get for her.
The 911
580 pounds.
76-year-old Carol Thomas, who was watching from her home when Gloria Surge was dragged into the lake. Lawyers for the Surge family
She don't see that alligator coming.
Fairways Development for allegedly not enforcing rules about not feeding the alligators, and for allegedly failing
The dog knew to get the fuck away from that one.
Conservation Commission to
Dog
remove
says
the larger
shit.
gators.
Gloria was forced to walk her dog behind the home in the backyard by the retention pond. Spanish Lakes is one of these communities that has a rule. You can't walk your dog in the streets of your community. In fact, Gloria was given a violation and eviction warning for walking her small dog in the front yard of her house.
The 10-foot-long, 700-pound alligator that killed Surge was so often seen in the neighborhood, it had been nicknamed Henry.
Did the community know the gators were there? Yeah. Everybody knows the gators are there.
This Spanish Lakes resident told WPEC she cannot walk her dog Monty in the street because of neighborhood bylaws.
If I walk him on the street, I'm actually breaking a rule.
This resident says she used to walk her dog with Gloria Surge.
She got reprimanded for walking on the streets.
Do you believe that those rules cost Gloria her life?
I do, because she never walked her dog on the street again after he said that.
Wind Building Corporation, the parent company to Spanish Lakes Fairways, said to CBS News, quote, "We certainly understand the tragedy and the feelings of Mrs. Surge's family. However, we developed Spanish Lakes Fairways 37 years ago. We have approximately 3,000 residents. This is the very first time where a resident was attacked by an alligator." Mrs. Surge was a longtime resident and certainly knew of the presence of alligators and that they were inherently dangerous animals.
About as we begin this next story, a 12-foot-long alligator weighs about 500 pounds. It can bite down with a crushing 2,000 pounds per square inch. A Florida man went swimming where he shouldn't and nearly paid with his life. The attack and its aftermath captured on video. It's hard to watch, but there's a happy ending. Even before he went swimming in a Florida lake, no one could ever question Juan Carlos Laverde's toughness. The former U.S. Air Force para-rescuer, triathlete, and firefighter-paramedic owns an outdoor adventure company. He was filming a promotional video for a race his company was hosting, this drone footage capturing a 12-foot alligator heading straight for him.
That thing was huge. It wasn't a little gator. It would be funny if it was a little gator.
Nothing funny about the attack.
With the right stroke, all I felt was scales, teeth, and then right there, I'm like, oh, okay. So, what I think I did, what I felt like I did, was that I immediately tried to open its jaws. Because I knew I was in a gator.
Speaking through jaws now wired shut, JC says he put his hand in the gator's mouth and fought for his life. JC says he put his hand in the gator's mouth and fought for his life.
When I felt the teeth, I immediately knew, and then as I opened it, I know that either I turned it or it turned me. But it was confused just as I was confused. And then it just let go.
He swam to the dock, hoisted himself up, and was driven to the hospital by a good Samaritan, calling 911 himself along the way. JC underwent an emergency 6-hour surgery to repair severe facial and skull injuries, doctors removing a portion of his skull that the alligator's teeth had pierced. He wears a helmet to protect the right side of his head. He's been hospitalized twice, and more surgery lies ahead. His message to those who see this story: find your God.
Find your God. Find him. Silly. And I get that that's scary. I do. But life's scary place. So you could either carry that load by yourself or allow someone to carry it for you.
His adventure company is called Defeat X. In this case, X was an alligator. He's thanking well-wishers for their encouragement and their donations to his GoFundMe account, which has raised more than $50,000. Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
11-year-old boy is back home in Pennsylvania recovering tonight after an alligator attack. He was out fishing with his dad when an 8-foot gator jumped from the water to grab the child's catch. Fox 35's Marie Ettinger is hearing from the child's family tonight, who say his father saved his life.
Brody is finally back home after a very long journey. That's a journey he'll be on for quite some time to come. 11-year-old Brody loves baseball and fishing. Both of those hobbies are going to be a lot harder now.
Unfortunately, the doctors weren't able to save any part of his hand, so it was amputated right at the wrist. He broke multiple bones in his arm as well when the gator rolled.
Brody and his dad were at Nelson's Outdoor Resort in Umatilla. They come to the area from Pennsylvania every year to go fishing. His family tells us he got a bite on his line, reeled the fish in, and took it off the hook, then went down to the water to release it.
And that's when the gator came out of nowhere and attached to his arm.
Andrew Wright says Brody's dad jumped off the dock and onto the alligator's back, trying to pry its mouth open.
Honestly, his dad is what saved his life. The gator wasn't able to pull Brody off the dock, which is a huge relief because it could have turned out much worse.
They were able to get away and rushed Brody to the hospital. He spent almost a week there getting different surgeries, trying to recover. That'll be his focus for some time to come.
It's going to be a very, very traumatic learning, for him. He's got a long rehabilitation. Just not just physically, but mentally.
The FWC says it found the 8-foot 7-inch alligator responsible for the attack. It was captured and killed. Brody's family says they were being vigilant at the time. They'd seen alligators elsewhere, so they were on the lookout, and they didn't see any in the spot they were, so they just weren't expecting something so horrible as this to happen.
Clemens is a regular at Howell Creek in Winter Springs, Florida. Didn't think twice about grabbing a rope swing and jumping into the water on a sweltering summer day last Tuesday. But that swing with his younger brother took a terrifying turn when a gator grabbed onto his leg and wouldn't let go.
The gator kind of just grabbed me from there, and then he just once he wrapped his jaws on me, I knew that there was no getting out.
Gabriel says he fought back, repeatedly punching the alligator in the head.
I just hit it with my hand, and I just kind of took a bare fist, and then I just hit it on its I tried to hit it on its head.
Incredibly, the reptile let go, and Gabriel was able to swim back to shore. The 13-year-old went to a nearby house where he calmly called his mom and then 911.
I just got bit by a gator.
Okay. And what part of your body was bit?
My right hip. I'm okay though. I can walk and I can stand. I'm fine.
Okay. I have the paramedics on the way.
Once at the hospital, Gabriel received stitches for the wound and a bandage from his hip to his upper thigh, even snapping this photo from his hospital bed. While the teenager is home now, he's not completely out of the woods yet.
Huge concern for infection. We talked with infectious disease. They said about 10 days. So we're really out of the woods just because of how deep the wound was in the creek water.
Florida Fish and Wildlife trapped a large 8-foot alligator a few days later in that same area. They say they're fairly confident it's the same one that bit Gabriel, but there's no way to be 100% sure. Meanwhile, further up the coast in South Carolina,
Look, here he comes.
This alligator popped out of a pond last week in Hilton Head, trying to chase down a fisherman in the Low Country. No one was injured, but a spokesperson from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources explained it's likely the alligator associates people with food after being fed in the past, putting an exclamation point on a...
Exactly. You just made my point. Using African babies as alligator bait. They so used to humans as bait, they going after all types of humans now. And like I said, we ain't biased over here. We just kicking the facts, bringing it to the peoples that's not aware of what went on in the past. Let's go.
Of chilling gator encounters. And the Florida Fish and Wildlife Organization estimates that in the 67 counties in Florida, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.3 million alligators. However, before you start getting word, they say it is extremely rare to see one of these unprovoked attacks. There's only about 8 a year in the last decade that require some form of medical attention. But Greg, certainly, you don't want to be one of those 8.
No,
back to you.
No, good for that kid for punching him right in the face there, too.
That is the biggest freaking alligator I have ever seen in my life.
Facts.
Jesus, they must be 15 feet long.
You gotta be kidding me.
Well, you ever seen anything that big?
Never.
Look like a dinosaur.
I think that's 2 guys in an alligator suit. Dave, get next to it for perspective.
Motherfucker look like a dinosaur, goddammit.
Is lucky to be alive after he was attacked by a crocodile at a very popular resort in Cancun, Mexico. It all started when 12-year-old Charlie Buell was playing hide and seek with the resort's kids club. Turns out it was a nearly 13-foot croc that found him.
There was nothing I could do. Like, it could do whatever it wanted. It was so strong. And its like teeth felt like metal. The inside of its mouth felt like metal. A metal clamp on your leg.
That crocodile pulled him off of a staircase near this dock at the resort, just about 20 feet from the pool. Mom says there aren't a lot of barriers. If you look closely, you see the crocodile lurking there. Warning families that crocs are very abundant in this area. Know this if you're booking. Keep your eyes open. Charlie's rescue is very dramatic.
They were grabbing my arms and they were kicking the crocodile in the eyes and like putting pillows on its face and poking it. And like finally it let go.
I didn't know if he was alive or dead. I didn't know. I wouldn't say Charlie is going to be fine. We are, of course, hoping for the best recovery, but his leg will never be the same again.
Now, initially they thought Charlie was going to lose that leg, but 8 surgeries later in Mexico, doctors saved it. The family stayed there in Cancun for an entire month during this ordeal. Jennifer says Club Med is covering all of their medical bills. They have added security measures, but again, this is a very common in this resort area. We caught up with them again today at Charlie's doctor's appointment in Cherry Hill. Mom says he walks with a limp. He does live with daily pain. He also can't play his favorite game, soccer, right now at least, but he has a good sense of humor, and he is dressing up as a crocodile for Halloween. With 2 of his friends, not 13 feet, 16 feet.
Yeah.
Nice. Take that.
He'll show him.
We're hearing for the first time from that guy who lost his arm in an alligator attack in Mayaca City earlier this summer.
Yeah, it's a story that you're only going to see here on 10 Tampa Bay. He is sharing his story as we get a report of yet another gator attack. This one happened over the weekend in the Lakewood Ranch area of Bradenton. Our Liz Crawford talked with Eric Murda, who is still adjusting to living life with one arm. I do want to warn you, this story is graphic. Your discretion is advised here.
At least a half dozen gator attacks this season around the Tampa Bay area. Eric Murda is one of those who lived to tell his story.
Not the smartest decision a Florida boy can make.
Eric Murda said on July 17th he got lost in the woods at the Lake Manatee Fish Camp in Mayaca City. When he finally found the lake, he decided to swim across rather than walk around.
I looked over and there's a gator on my right-hand side, so I went to swim, She got my forearm, so I grabbed her like this, and like she's trying to roll, but she snapped her head, so my arm went backwards like this completely.
He says he fought for his life.
She drug me under 3 times. She's already got my arm. So when we came up the 3rd time, she finally did her death roll and took off with my arm.
And that's just where his story begins.
Bones poking out, muscles.
Eric Murda says he spent 3 days trying to find his way out.
You can't see anything. Everything's this tall. You know what I mean? Sometimes I felt like I was walking in circles. I didn't know. So I started following the sun and power lines and stuff like that, things I could see.
After 3 days in the swamp, he says he stumbled on a fence and a man on the other side.
I said, hey, man, I need some help. He says, what are you doing? And I said, a gator got my arm. He says, holy smokes, man.
Now he's adapting to a new normal with a new perspective.
Do not feed the gators, all right? And you guys know who you are, throwing rocks at them and stuff. I've seen that on the job sites. Leave them gators alone.
Liz Crawford, 10 Tampa Bay.
A 4-year-old boy was thrown into a crocodile enclosure at a zoo by a stranger. Ben Downey has the story.
This is an unthinkable scenario. Police have now arrested a 30-year-old man on suspicion of attempted murder in relation to this incident after racing to the Johnson Zoo in Cambridgeshire to help save the boy. Air ambulances flew to the scene and paramedics later rushed him to hospital by road with serious injuries. He's now in a critical but stable condition. Specially trained police are understood to be supporting the boy's family at the hospital, while detectives continue to speak to witnesses of the distressing incident to understand more about how this could possibly have unfolded. Horrifyingly, it's believed as many as 10 crocodiles of different species were in the enclosure at the time the boy was inside. There's no information as yet to suggest the boy and the suspects are known to one another or related. It's still, though, very early in the investigation into what must be a nightmare scenario for any parent.
From fans, it's a chant that has reverberated around the swamp for at least a quarter century, but the gator bait chant will no longer be endorsed by the University of Florida because of its origins. University President Ken Fuchs released a detailed statement today about how the school is addressing racist issues. Among the list of 15 action points, training on racism, inclusion, and bias for all new students, faculty, and staff. A day of community service and learning as guided by local leaders to be held in the spring, and discontinuing the use of the gator bait cheer. Fuchs wrote, quote, while I know of no evidence of racism associated with our gator bait cheer at UF sporting events, there is horrific history.
Gator bait cheer. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, who did they use for gator bait in the past?
Historic racism imagery associated with the phrase. The phrase's racist history dates back to a practice of using black babies to lure alligators from the swamps as recently as the 1920s. The chant was popularized after Florida won the 1996 National Championship when Lawrence Wright fired up the crowd at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium with this.
If you ain't a gator, you must be gator bait.
Wright is not happy about the decision, telling the Gainesville Sun, quote, I'm not going for it. It created something for us. It's a college football thing. It's not a racist thing. It's about us, the Gator Nation. And I'm black. What about our history as the Gator Nation? We took a program from the top 5 to number 1 in the country. I think I've done enough, put in the sweat and tears, to get to offer my opinion about something like this. Steve Spurrier, who coached that 1996 National Championship team, is supporting the move, telling USA Today that when athletic director Scott Strickland told him about the history, Spurrier said, let's get rid of it. There's also a magazine and website dedicated to covering the Gators called Gator Bait, which was founded in 1980. While it's unaffiliated with the university, we've reached out to see if the website is considering changing the name, but we've not heard back as of yet. In addition to banning the Gator Bait chant, the president also posted that he's personally committed to removing any monuments or namings that UF can control to celebrate the Confederacy or its leaders.
Gator bait.
An iconic college football cheer banned from the swamp. University of Florida President Ken Fuchs says the school will no longer use the phrase gator bait due to its horrific, historic, racist imagery.
If you ain't a gator, you must be gator bait.
But former Gator safety Lawrence Wright disagrees with the association.
Someone goes and research something that happened in the 1800s and 2000. And so, to me, what our meaning and what our delivery is something totally different.
The UF Hall of Famer coined the phrase in 1996 after the team's first national championship.
I don't think the president understands. I don't think he even understands who I was, or knows who I was, and know how much it would impact me.
While the cheer appears to be harmless, the phrase does have a racist past. A 1923 headline from the Atlanta Independent says, "Babies used as alligator bait in the state of Florida."
Pause that. Let's pause that. Babies used as alligator bait in the state of Florida. Black babies. God damn it.
It says white hunters rented black babies as bait for $2. USF professor and historian Dr. Ray Arsenault says it's possible this practice was more than just
renting babies for $2 to use as alligator bait.
It's folklore.
Young black children were a stock character in postcards and kind of the dark humor used to really to make fun of and denigrate African Americans.
Wright plans on having a conversation with Fuchs to better understand his decision and maybe reverse it.
He's not black. You know, and he didn't do the things that I have done and my teammates have done in the history of the University of Florida. So he would know. He would have no idea. The year of 95, when we was 12-0, that was part of our history. If you ain't a Gator, you must be Gator thing. Why we abolished our history for someone else that did something 200 years ago.
Is that love for you or hate?